Welcome to Joe's Happy Hour, a show about markets and life hosted by Joe Fahmy. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be regarded as personalized investment advice or relied upon for any investment decisions. Joe Fahmy is an employee of Zor Capital, and he and his clients may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. All opinions expressed by Joe are solely his own and do not reflect the opinions of Zor Capital. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on this program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Chris Hanna, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
It's about time.
This is we finally got you here. I'm going to do a quick intro. Magician, mentalist, and illusionist based here in Vegas. The resident magician at Wynn Las Vegas. You've not just performed there, you've performed in front of millions of people worldwide for corporate gigs and so forth, and thousands of celebrities, which we can get into. And we're going to get into that in a minute. I'm also my dear friend Brent Fitz, who has co-hosted a lot of these podcasts with me, one of the best rock drummers in the world, worked with so many people, Slash, Gene Simmons, Aerosmith, Adam Levine, and your own band, Took, which is an amazing band. And the list is endless. Anyways, thanks for being here, Brent.
Love to be here.
Thanks.
I'm also your foodie partner.
Foodie partner as well.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky to know some pretty cool people here. I like to let my guests introduce themselves or tell the audience a little bit about yourself or something I might have left out in your intro.
I'm trying to figure out how to say it so it doesn't sound like an AA meeting. But I mean, you kind of covered what I do. That's my life, is doing magic and performing at the Wynn and performing for their VIPs, corporate events, celebrity events, all of the above. And
what kind of VIPs?
What kind of VIPs?
What kind of
The
VIPs?
people who are spending
Chris?
a lot of money there are losing a lot of money, I should say. That's probably a better.
So it's not just high rollers. I mean, not just celebrities, but the high rollers there
the
as
high
well.
rollers.
Yeah.
I would say the 90%, and then the rest is celebrities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we started, I asked you how you want me to introduce you, and now this is a topic that I didn't even think we were going to talk about, because that's why I said, screw it. I'm going with everything. Magician, mentalist, illusionist. What do you prefer being called? Or how do you introduce yourself?
I still slip up and say magician, which I try to avoid because I don't want people to think, oh, you'd be great for my kid's birthday party. And then you say illusionist or mentalist, it sounds more high end. And realistically, it's all the same thing. You're doing magic tricks.
Yeah.
Whether you're an illusionist or mentalist or magician, they're all magic tricks. And some magicians will probably argue with you about that, but I like to keep it simple and truthful, and we're all just doing magic tricks.
I think I agree. Illusionist, mentalist sounds a little bit more mysterious or higher end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just make me a bicycle clown.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between drummer and musician? They are the same thing. Oh, you're a drummer. Oh, really? But if you're a musician, oh, you're a musician.
How do you introduce yourself when people say, what do you do for
Well,
a
I
living?
do say I'm a musician. And if people know me from a certain band, they might go, oh, you're the drummer of blah, blah, blah. Sometimes connotation of the description kind of, it's like you said, all of a sudden, oh, kids and, different level of where your skill set is at. So we like to keep things high. I like mentalist.
Yeah.
Seems to have it scares me, actually. When I hear mentalist, I'm like, I'm afraid of this guy.
Yeah, you're like, what's he doing?
There's a little more wonder there. Than
he's reading
a
my mind.
magician.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you said musician, because of how many times when you say, oh, I'm the magician, and people go, oh, what instrument do you play?
Oh, they hear musician.
Yes, they hear musician. Or I get introduced as a musician, and one of the jokes I wanted to do is say, oh, I play a little guitar. You want to see? And then pull out a little guitar.
Yeah.
But
That is great. That is great.
Kind of like I know a little Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lives upstairs from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. his little
Is it
friend.
true? So, like musicians often have guitar picks in our pockets, purposely or accidentally. You're just, I'm just always carrying stuff. Is a pack of cards a typical? Do not leave home without them?
Yeah, not accidentally. It's more of an accident if I leave them at home.
Okay,
And-
tell me more about that.
And I have like 10 decks of cards in my truck or more, because I always want cards. Because even if I'm not doing magic, it's just kind of an ADD thing, having something in my hands, and I can practice the moves I need to practice. So they stay fresh, even if I'm not performing every day.
Okay, let's get into cards for a minute, because this is an honest, because it's not my wheelhouse. A guitar pick has a texture,
Mm-hmm.
and we could talk about that with musicians. Oh, I like a certain. what's a deck of cards to me is what compared to yourself? Like, I'm not looking at it scientifically. Like,
Yeah, there's different quality of playing cards.
Okay.
And I have a couple that I like, but bicycle are the cards that everyone's familiar with. So I try to use those as much as possible, because if you use anything other than that,
got it.
people will think
They
it's a trick
think-
deck,
they
even
think
though
it's-
they'll think a bicycle deck is a trick deck.
So you do have a bicycle deck here.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I brought a deck, and this is
That
from
is not bicycle.
that's not. But my friend said it's from a magician who puts these
Yes.
out, a regular deck.
Mm-hmm.
But he says the feel for
No,
magicians.
the quality's amazing.
the
They're
quality and
better
the
quality
feel.
than bicycles.
Okay.
Bicycles used to be a lot better. They're not bad, but they used to be a lot better.
But people are familiar, so it's
yes.
less for them to say, "Oh, that's a trick deck," or "You
Mhm.
rigged it," or something.
And that's kind of something with Magic. You need something that people are familiar with, because I love $2 bills. There's a little bit of a story back there, and I wanted to change $2 bills into like a 20 or 100. And a friend of mine brought up a good point and said, no, people don't see $2 bills, so they're automatically going to assume they're fake.
Oh yeah, you don't see them too
So
much.
you kind of want to use something that people are familiar with, just like the bicycle cards. And that's my reasoning behind it. I have a million decks of cards at home, and I have all different brands, and I mess with them just for myself. But then when I go to work, it's bicycles.
Yeah, and I've seen it too. It's a Costco. You've been there. It's a Costco warehouse of
Yeah, pretty
magic,
much.
and which it's. We'll get into that later, which is a tribute to your dedication to your craft.
Yes.
I have to ask the generic question about how you got into magic and what inspired you, or mentors and all this stuff. Will take us back to, is it just the classic, you're 5 years old and you got a magic set and you're
Yes, I was
pretty
five. I was 5 years old, and it was.
See, now I'm the mentalist.
Yes,
I
see,
guess
we're
I
done
didn't.
here.
I didn't
I'm not
even.
doing anything.
I didn't even know. I was actually. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, so when I was 5 years old, I got a magic kit, and I just got hooked instantly. And growing up, I would wash all my neighbors' cars, and I'd charge $20 a car, and if they wanted to wax it, it was $50. And I'd take all that money, and I lived in California, and I went to Hollywood Magic every single weekend and spent all my money there.
Is that on Hollywood Boulevard?
Yes, it's sadly it's gone.
I know. I remember I played with Alice Cooper, and I believe that was, and I love that store. But they would get all the, not like all the baton, like all the of his props too.
Yes,
It was just a go-to store.
Oh,
they
it's,
had
a,
the
it's a
costumes.
magic store.
A magic store, and they sold costumes, but it's in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So you have the best
Oh,
quality.
it must be
everything.
amazing.
It was the best, and like I couldn't tell you how many parking tickets I got as well, because you had to pay to park, and I'd forget because I was there for so many hours, and I got a lot of tickets there.
You're literally.
So there's not a Vegas version now that you live here?
You know, magic shops in general are kind of a dying breed because of the online industry. There are a few left, but it's not the same as it used to be. And
So
magic's changed a lot.
that one closed for obvious reasons. Just
Well, that
Just
company was around forever,
yeah.
and just I think there's some family drama and. the
Oh,
owner
but it
got-
wasn't because of like Amazon took them over or something like that.
no.
Because that's a very unique thing where you're going there.
You can order some stuff on Amazon, some magic stuff, but not quite. There's probably about 3 or 4 major magic shops where you can buy stuff. But like I said, the magic industry's changed a lot because of the online industry. People put out videos that the magic looks amazing, but you can't use it in the real world like when I perform, because there's angles and it looks really good on camera, or they do cutting and they make it look phenomenal. It's just not practical. So magic's changed that way too with the whole online industry. So they can make a lot of money that way.
Is that the auto-tune equivalent? Like where you
Oh,
can
yeah.
sound great in studio, but you still have to play it live?
Well, that I am fascinated because obviously, when you say you buy a magic kit when you're younger, and then so it's like everybody could get a magic kit. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to become a magician or good at it, but then it starts at the bare minimums and stuff. But I love being blown away by guys like yourself, and you've shown me some unbelievable scary things. I'm scared because I'm like, I like the illusion, or what if we want to call it that, of what's going on. But I also feel like, you shouldn't just be able to buy like you guys have a code. I am a musician. We talk in code all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what, and I don't mean it's not like anyone's invited, but when we talk about things, I'm sure people are like, what are they talking about? And it could be just music related keys or something. But you guys, you have some sort of thing that I'm not in the club, which is okay. I don't want to be in the club, but it's a pretty special thing. Once you start to really get into your world, other people understand. And I've met many other magicians and mentalists in Las Vegas, and I like being around it, but I also see that, like, I'm looking at it and I'll ask somebody else, hey, do you know what's going on? And you're like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, what do you mean, of course? So it's some sort of voodoo thing it's fucking awesome, but I'm not in the club, so I'm always impressed.
Yeah.
And I love to be entertained by it. So
there's a little bit of code before this started. Me and Tyus,
I saw that.
Talking, and
yeah.
You're like, what are you? They talking Japanese? Like
we didn't know.
Are you in the club, Joe? Because you like magic.
I know 3 tricks.
You know some.
I know.
Okay. They're good tricks.
Well,
though.
I know 4. Maybe.
No, you're good. Actually,
he taught me a few too. So
well, if they're not good, I didn't teach you.
Yeah, the shitty ones I learned on my own. That actually, he brings up a great point, because there's that great Penn and Teller show, Fool Us, where magicians, mentalists get up and perform. Whether it's that show or you've seen somebody else, one of your colleagues perform, do you understand pretty much what they're doing, or the blueprint of it, or have you ever seen something from another magician where you're like, I have no idea how they did that?
I would say both. But when I go watch a magic show or see another magician, I want to be a regular person. I don't want to be a magician. I want to enjoy it. I don't.
But there's still, like, it's built in your blood. Like, he can't go to a concert and just sit there and be like, oh, like, he's like Terminator, like with stuff processing, watching everything.
Yeah, there is some of that.
It's in your nature though, right? To still.
There is, but I try my best to just enjoy it as a
just
lay
be
person.
A fan.
Sometimes, I guess, if I don't like the person, then I want to tear it apart. But maybe. But
yes, musicians
very,
too.
Very rare that happens. But I want to enjoy it. I want to be like a regular person. And that's the crazy thing to me, is when I perform and people are like, oh, I want to know how it's done. I'm like, no, you don't. Because once you know, it ruins it for you. You want that mystery. But there's so many people who get frustrated and they need to know. And a lot of people don't like magic because of that, and they feel stupid. But the funny thing about magic is the stupid people are the ones who figure it out, because magic is the most simple way of doing a trick. And then people will like think of the most complex way. And I'm telling you, every single time, it's the most simple, because you don't want to make it more difficult for yourself. You want to make it the simplest.
Yeah, I mean, that
possible.
leads into a question about reactions. So you've performed for thousands, millions of people. You probably have a sort of like, some basic reactions from people. Like, what categories they fall into? The ones that are wowed, the ones that are like, I want to know how you did that, the ones that think you got to go to church and you need Jesus and they run out the door.
All of that.
They think you're a devil, or what? Like, what are the common like categories of reactions you get?
It all depends. I've had grown men cry because I tell them one of their pets' names they had growing up. And you can literally make a grown man cry over that. And that's a good reaction, because when it becomes an emotional reaction in a good way, because I don't want to be like, oh, think of your dead grandmother, and then they cry, I'm going to feel like a terrible person, because I don't want anyone thinking that I can talk to the dead, because I think that's immoral, because there are people who do that, and they're really not talking to the dead.
Okay.
Oh, don't tell me.
I know. I'm sorry. I just talk to dead animals. Okay, that's how I get the name.
So, but when you make a grown man cry, that's something though. If it's something sentimental, they're never going to forget that.
No, and the way I do that trick, okay, I'll kind of mention how I do it, because I don't want everyone else doing it. But the name appears on my business card, and that's the best way of giving my business card out, because no one's going to throw it away. First of all, it's a really nice business card. Yeah. So that was already in my mind. And then adding something personal like that, if I wrote a number on there and people were like, oh, okay, you guessed my number was 13, I'm not going to keep that. But if you put their pet's name, and how many people that I've seen years later, they go, oh, I see this every single day. It's in my bathroom, or it's where I put on my ties.
Yeah, they put
whatever.
on the dresser,
that's
whatever.
That's important, because I want people to remember me.
It's genius.
Yeah, it's a marketing for free.
David Blaine said he got into magic when he performed for his mom, and he's little, and saw the reaction, and that gave him the high. He loved that. I mean, I'm sorry to ask a stupid question, but is that like the joy you get out of like people just being like wowed and amazed?
That is the main thing. The money doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. It's making somebody's day and making them happy, and it shouldn't be anything other than that. If you're like, what else can you do? Like music, it brings joy to people. I go to concerts. I'm like addicted to concerts right now because it brings me that joy. I want somebody to feel like a little kid when they see me and they can escape whatever else is going on in their life. And when people go, "Oh, you made my day. I was having a terrible day." That's all that matters to me. And that's why I pull little pranks even when I'm not working, because I want somebody to escape whatever BS they're going through.
Whatever mundane, shit in their life. You get the same thing because if you're working on an album and you haven't been to an obscure country in Europe or Australia, you haven't been there in 2 years, the fans are waiting for that, and you're making you're making their year, because we take a lot of things for granted, but when they haven't seen you perform, the same thing. I'm sure you get that like high off of, or at least the satisfaction of.
Ultimate gift. Travel and get to do your craft and do it to all kinds of people around the globe. I don't know if you've had the luxury, but when I look at your Instagram and I look at the who's who, that is pretty impressive, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
We should talk about that.
Oh, we can get to that.
I'd rather
but he's been hired to perform not just in the U.S. but worldwide. Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, like Pitbull.
Okay,
no.
so
he's been like corporate gigs in you were just in Hong Kong, yeah,
most recent,
yeah. So he gets hired
for
to do
a
that.
major company.
Well, I would think is there some people over there that are more pessimistic by country of like, hey, how'd you do that? Or crowds for music are different everywhere too.
Yeah.
They love music, but it's a different sort of energy sometimes. So
yeah, it wasn't really like people from Hong Kong. It was a business meeting from people around the world. So that was a little bit interesting, and it was a lot of men. And when you perform, like if I perform for a group of men, the problem is you get peacock feathers, and no one wants to let their guard down and look impressed. And that's why I don't like performing in like for sports teams. I know there's magicians out there, great ones who can do it and pull it off.
Like egos and everything.
It's just really hard because then they're just like, they don't want to they got to have this tough guy image, and they can't let their friends see anything otherwise. And another tough one is if it's just a couple, then the boyfriend or husband's peacock feathers go up as well, because then you're a threat to them with their wife or girlfriend. And that's happened to me so many times.
I never even thought about that.
And I don't flirt when I do magic or anything, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm a threat, because I'm not there to pick up anybody. So, but it happens.
That's the magic of the whole thing, is that you really. I'm kidding.
No,
okay, what about Tom Brady?
Tom Brady, he was amazing.
I want to talk about Tom Brady.
He loves card tricks. I remember when I met him, and he's like, "Well, I know all these card tricks. You're not going to impress me with
really."
And I'm like, "Well, I don't like doing card tricks, so I take the time to do."
Wait, you don't like because
every magician does card tricks. So if I pull out a pack of cards, the first reaction you're getting, "Oh, I've seen this one before. You haven't even done anything." And I'm like,
okay.
And so it already kind of brings it down a level. So,
but that's where you're like, well, can I pull the quarter out of your ear?
Yeah.
That's where, because you put a lot of comedy in your thing. So I would just say play along with it. But anyway.
But so I work on tricks that take a lot of time. Like Tyus was saying, he likes tricks that take a lot of skill.
Practice.
I guess it's not really skill. It's really just practice. If you practice something enough, it's like if you play the drums enough, you're going to become good. Well, maybe. But cards, same thing. But people, they think of their uncle doing a card trick for them. Like, Joe doing a card trick for us. I'm not saying that as an insult.
No, it is an insult, because it's like when I try to play drums around him. It's just for fun.
It's like counting. Here, count 3 piles of 7 cards for me, and that's what people expect.
Okay.
So I try to do card tricks that no one else is doing, or very few people are doing, because I want to make sure they haven't seen it before. And that was the thing with Tom Brady. I'm like, well, I'm gonna blow him away with the stuff I'm doing, because I know he hasn't seen it, and I did. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way.
No,
I'm not.
course.
I'm like, I don't like egos, but it just, I want the people to enjoy it, and I got him to enjoy it versus being like, oh, well, I know everything.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, because you're right. A lot of people know certain mathematical working tricks, or they've seen their uncle at Thanksgiving do the same, like whatever. But you're like, okay, let me show you, Mr. 6th-round draft choice. I'm going to show you one.
Is there a bit of the feeling of, okay, now my audience this is the greatest of all time in front of me. a very successful person who's like the intimidation factors that change, or you don't give a shit.
Not really anymore. I used to.
Okay.
And then once I've gotten to perform for more celebrities, I just realized they're a normal person like the rest of us.
Of course.
And they're nice.
Yeah.
And they just want to be treated like a normal person.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, it made it so much easier for me. And very, very rarely do I get nervous for anybody I perform for. And it's not usually a celebrity. It's like if it's somebody really high up at a corporation or a casino or anything like that, then it gets into my head because I'm like, I gotta impress them.
Yeah.
That leads me to another question. I don't know if you even want to admit this. Have you ever screwed up, or do you have a contingency if you're like either by accident or whatever?
Yeah,
like,
I just blame the person for messing up. No, I'm only kidding. I only do that to my nephew. No, it does happen, but you never let people know that you messed up because they don't know what the outcome of the trick is going to be.
Okay.
So you have an outcome for whatever. It might not be the same payoff that I originally wanted, but I will make sure that trick looks like it worked.
Okay,
Wait,
that's a great point because they don't know the end result.
You never tell somebody.
I know one of your tricks because I was part of a recent experience where I thought, oh, Chris fucked up.
Yeah.
That was part of the trick.
Yes.
Now that's genius too.
Oh,
and
giving the audience the illusion. Yeah, that's
do you
right.
remember?
Yeah, yeah.
We were
You
involved, and I was like,
oh,
wait a
I
minute,
screwed
Chris.
it up.
I go, oh, that's too bad.
Yes.
And then you fucking double
Yeah.
blew my mind. I was like, oh my,
So
this is part of the trick.
It's an emotional roller coaster because you have people up here and then they think you messed up and then you bring them down here.
Yeah.
And then the payoff and then you come back up. And I like that because it's kind of hard
That's
if
great.
they're already up here and then you execute the trick and they only go up a little bit more. So you want to have that dip.
That's a good entertainer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I mentioned David Blaine earlier,
Mhm.
and I just remember because I have a deck in my hand. He talks about when he did the street magic and growing up, and you talk about having multiple decks with you,
Mhm.
just getting the feel for it and always playing with it. A couple things. That all the street magic and some of his stuff, did that really influence whether it's yourself or like an entire? I feel like it influenced an entire generation.
It influenced a lot of people. So when I was 5 years old, I did get into magic. And then in middle school, I got out of it because, you think you're too cool when you're that age and you're doing magic tricks. And then David Blaine came out. I think I was in 9th grade or 10th grade. And he did that street magic. And it was amazing. And I was like, oh, I have all this stuff in my drawer. I got to get it out. And I had a friend over and I started doing magic for him. And what you brought up earlier, his reaction, he was so happy and he looked like a little kid. And at that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I'm pulling everything out of this drawer and getting back into magic. And ever since then.
So he was a great influence for you.
Oh, yeah. No, David Blaine.
Because you saw the way, because his street magic stuff was a different way of producing.
Yeah.
And a different way of whatever the word is, just displaying magic.
He was doing really good magic, but what he cared about was the reactions. The trick didn't even almost matter. You saw the people flipping out and running away. And that was more important because if you do a cool magic trick and then the people are like, oh, cool. Then you have a boring TV show, but then you have people running around and jumping and whatever. It's like, this is great.
Same with an audience. You feed off of a crowd. Like he says, when he's in South America, it's 70,000 people in a soccer field waiting all day. Ole, ole, ole. Like they're like, versus like, I don't know, you might play in the U.S. and people
playing in Vegas.
And people are like,
your own hometown. People are like, I don't really care.
They're like, oh, there's 90 shows I could go to. And
that's the problem with Vegas is the entertainment world with shows have changed. There are so many shows, so you're not seeing sellouts too often anymore.
Well, let's talk about that. So, and again, I love it all because I'm not in the magic world, mentalist world, but I love there's a lot of shows here. So everybody must have something great that people keep coming back. The Copperfields, David Blaine is obviously here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's enough room for everybody to have a little niche in the game, and Chris Angel, of course.
Yeah.
Jerry McCambridge. There's always and there's many more, right? And headlining on the Strip.
Oh yeah.
So, but this is kind of a financial based, show as well. Like, and just to make a living doing that is a whole other conversation, right?
Yeah.
You got to be good at the tricks, and then you got to find a way to. Well, I'm going to do this for a living. Okay, your parents are like, what?
Yeah, and the business side is the hardest part of it.
Right.
And I don't like doing the business side because because I don't want this to feel like a job. It should never feel like
Right.
a job. But when you have to make a living, and I don't want to do a regular job. I don't want to.
Have you? I meant to ask earlier. Have you had
I've had regular jobs in the past, and all it did is drive me further away from it to wanting to do magic.
What'd you do? I'm curious. Like James Franco worked at McDonald's. I want to know what you did.
I did some sales. My dad was a salesman.
Okay.
And he wanted me to be a salesman, and I was like, I am absolutely not being a salesman. But I learned so much from him in
that you can apply now.
Everything. Everything.
Wow.
I was like, my dad's crazy. I don't want to listen to him. And now everything he taught me, I use. And I'm glad I guess you could say listened in a way, but at the time it probably didn't seem like I was listening. But
it's the people skills, it's the salesmanship, it's the performance, it's the, I love how you incorporate humor into your acts, and not just act, but when you're, it's not just like, okay, let me do this, see you later. There's always some hilarious thing, and so you catch people, like you have that roller coaster, you catch them and you make them laugh. It's kind of like a great cocktail of great emotions, so to speak.
And I have to hold back with a lot of things I want to say because I have a very different sense of humor that other people don't appreciate. So there's so many jokes I want to say, and I have to bite my tongue or else I'll be in trouble.
That's funny.
I'll probably never work for those people again. But, so I have to. I think I could be funnier, but not everyone appreciates.
Is the referral the same in your business as mine, where someone is going to recommend you because they saw an amazing performance? Does Justin Timberlake go, hey, I got a guy for his other friend, you got to,
I know I did get a recommendation from that. So when I performed for him for the first time, his managers are like, oh.
Because you've performed many times is
now
the answer.
I have,
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. He's like, oh, is he your guy? Or you're his guy?
No, he wants me to be his
That's
magician.
amazing.
Yeah, so I performed backstage for him and his crew when he was out here last year.
Cool.
Which was amazing. And then his manager's like, oh, can you go to Jessica Biel's room and perform for her? I'm like, well, duh.
Awesome.
And yeah, so it's turned into more leads that way because they've recommended me for other events.
So do you have to have a manager?
You should have a manager. I haven't gotten to that point yet of pulling the trigger. I still deal with it, and I know your value goes up once you have a manager, but I don't know if I can trust someone enough to do that for me.
I get it.
And it's hard because everything is on a base to base. I don't have like a set price. I'm like, okay, everything's this amount of money. And then some people I've built relationships with, and that makes it tough for me too because I'm like, what do I charge? I don't want to charge you, but I also have to make money.
Of course.
So a manager, you're not going to get that flexibility, and then you're going to have to turn it down. And I don't want that because to me, the relationships are more important than money.
Yeah, for me, it's I get a card trick and I buy In-N-Out Burger for him, and it's a win-win for all of us.
He buys me better than In-N-Out. Don't listen to him. He buys me better than In-N-Out.
I'm like, I get to go In-N-Out anyways. Now I get a card. I'm kidding.
We go to the Habit. I'm only kidding.
I wanted to ask you about the Magic Castle because I know on your website it says award-winning. Tell us a little bit for people who aren't in that world. I've never been.
We'll have to take you. I'll have to go.
I've never been either.
Okay, we're
I
gonna.
lived in
We're
LA.
gonna make a
No,
trip.
I lived in LA for a decade, and it was
You always
literally a
heard-
magical place that I
yeah.
it's
You
like,
always heard about it, but you never
I
went.
drove by and I knew other people that went there. So to me, it's this place in Hollywood there that's I don't even know how you get in.
Yeah,
Tell us.
Tell us about getting in, performing, membership, all like just give us the
it's a very prestigious club. The only way you can go is if you're a member. You're invited by a member.
Okay.
Now I feel like a jerk that you guys haven't gone and I didn't invite you guys.
I did.
But I'm
So
still, I'm still a member.
a magician like yourself or in the business can invite us, and it's a dinner thing where performances are going on.
Not during dinner. So
Okay.
you eat dinner, and then there's a few different showrooms, and then there's one big stage because they have like a close-up room, and they have one that's like kind of a mix between close-up and stage, and then a giant stage, and then there's like bar performers and stuff like that. So when you have the dinner, you automatically get tickets to the main show, and let's see.
So how many shows you go to dinner? How many different acts would you see if you're there? Like
It
if you brought us
depends on
there.
what night you go. If you go on a weekend, you're lucky to see 2 shows because it's so packed. So it's good to go during like a weekday, and you can see all the shows because you want to see all the shows. You want to see a variety of magic. You can go, okay, well this guy's a stage performer. He's doing big illusions. Then you got the guy in the close-up room doing card tricks, and then in the parlor, which is like the mix between the stage and a close-up, is you'll still see card tricks, but you'll see a little bit bigger of magic or more mind reading type stuff like I like to do.
And how do you become, I guess, two-part question. You've been like award-winning, like you performed, like how do you become a member, and how did you, like, I don't know.
So you have to audition to become a member, and you need 3 sponsors. 3 magicians signing for you saying, hey, he's good enough to be a member there. But then you have to perform in front of these magicians. And I remember that was the time I was very intimidated because they told me it was going to be 3 magicians. And it was like 10. And they were really good magicians. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was practicing for months. I had a great mentor. I've had a few mentors that have helped me out dramatically. But at that time, I had a great mentor and he helped me, pushed me. And I did 1 trick and they go, we've seen enough. And I'm like, oh no. And you have to do 3 tricks. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't do a good job. And then I did get put through because they loved it so much. The 1 trick was enough for them.
Oh, and you interpreted it as like a
nice job.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I messed up. I practiced for all these months. And then the award that I won, I don't like performing for other magicians because I don't do magic that's geared towards magicians. There are magicians, and there's magicians like me who just perform for the regular masses out there. And that's what I enjoy because magicians, I don't know. It's not fun when somebody's like, oh, well, you did this. That's not what I'm doing this for. And so I saw there was a competition and you have to perform for other magicians. But I was in like a really dark time in my life. And it was 3 days away. And I was like, I have nothing to lose. So I go and I've been practicing and I go do magic. And at the end of the competition, they start with 3rd place. And I'm like, if I have any chance at all, I'll get 3rd place. And they call the first person, not my name. I'm like, okay, if I have any chance at all, I'll get 2nd place. They call the next person. And I take my badge off. And I'm like, then I hear my name and I go, no effing way. I'm like, are you serious? I did not expect to win. And so that was a really good feeling. And it really turned my life around and just went uphill from there. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I can't
I
wait
love
to
that.
go.
yeah,
We got to go.
Yeah, we got to go. But that was like a good turning point in my
We
life.
like to eat. We like to be entertained.
Yes.
And
They got it all. It's Hollywood.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
They need one here, though. There's a lot of...
There's only one Magic Castle.
Yeah, there's one Magic Castle. There's been a couple other people who wanted to bring something like that here. So there's Caesar's Magical Empire. I never got to go, unfortunately. That was cool. And I think it was run by the Magic Castle. And then they got rid of it for the nightclub, which sucks. And then somebody I know here has a mansion, and they wanted to turn it into a Magic Castle. And I was like, I'm on board for it. And then I talked to this guy, and he's like, okay, I know this person, this person, this person, this person. And I'm like, we don't need 20 people running this because then it's going to be, this person wants to do it their way. I want to do it my way. And I was like, this isn't going to work. And unfortunately, that never went through because it would have been a lot of fun.
That's cool. That's an idea. That's a business idea.
It is.
We already know chefs, so we could get the dinners together, and you could get we know enough.
There's enough people
mentalists
here.
and magicians.
Yeah.
that would be we just came up with a business idea.
Or the Wynn could just be the go-to spot because you do a lot
just for me, though, no other magicians. Can't have too many magicians there.
Any celebrities you performed for that surprised you as far as like maybe you thought they were this or they ended up being super cool or like really funny? Like I know Blake Griffin, I saw on your Instagram because I love him on the Comedy Central roast, and he's like, all right, let me do a trick for you. And he did a trick for you. Like anyone like that might have surprised you that you thought was like, I know you're not starstruck anymore or anything like that. I just didn't know if there was anyone that was like maybe just super cool or,
I remember the first time I performed for a celebrity at the Wynn was Shania Twain. And I knew her music, but I wasn't too familiar with her. But she was unbelievably nice. Like, super nice. And then
that's close to home for him, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah. And then I'm a big baseball fan. That's the only sport I like. And Justin Turner, he was on the Dodgers at the time, and I'm a Dodger fan. And that was epic. That was the time I was starstruck. I was like, no way I get to perform for him. And I did magic for him. He loved it. And then I was walking by them, and he stopped me and just to have a regular conversation. So that was really cool. I didn't expect that. But
well, I see Leonardo DiCaprio on your Instagram.
He was like a little kid.
Really?
When I was doing magic. That was a lot of fun. And I was like, the only thing that upset me is I was like, look, I'm inspired by your suits. and because I like your suits. And he goes, oh, and that was his reaction to that. I'm like,
That was it.
I know, because in all his movies, his suits are awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where I get my inspiration when I get my suits made.
Probably because he's like, there's nothing to do. He was probably like, there's nothing to do with me. That's
Yeah.
wardrobe.
Yeah, but
No, he wears them well, of
he knows
course.
how to wear the suits.
I
and they
love
look
the
great.
part about going back to, when you talk about performing for a couple, how like people have their guards up,
Yeah.
or if it's a bunch of men. So by default, the best audience would be a group of girls, then, of course. But
I like
but-
a mix.
you like a mix. But I
Yeah.
just think it's funny that if you perform for a couple, you're doing something that the husband can't do, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's like, "Honey, let's get out of here. I don't like this guy." I think that's more of a like a whatever, of just human behavior.
Yeah. No,
It's more of a I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
it's got to happen in the music world as well.
What are you talking about?
But this reminds me, this one guy wanted to know how I did a trick, and he goes, "I'll pay you $10,000 to tell me," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" No
Oh,
problem.
really?
Yeah. And then his wife told him no, and he was 100% going to do it. He was ready to give me the money, and his wife told him no. So that was a little heartbreaking for me.
Oh,
I would have done
damn.
it for $200. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, no,
But
you
10 grand I can't turn down.
I'd do it for a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
10 grand, jeez.
Well, your card tricks we could do for a ham
Yeah,
sandwich.
mine I could do for a ham sandwich. What about combining humor? You were talking about sometimes you just have to be careful, because we talk about all the time comedians like can't be, they lock up your phones, and
Yeah.
certain things are off limits, which is stupid. Why go to a comedy club to be offended? But you want to implement comedy into your act, but you have to be careful with just some of the things, because not to be too much of a, I know you too well.
And and I can come across, a little dry, and people think I'm being mean or worse, and it's not that, because I just have a dry sense of humor,
Yeah.
and I get joy out of it, and other people goes over their head, or they think I'm being rude to them, and I'm not doing that.
Have you worked on some comedy? I know we have
I
a
can't
plan.
tell you the jokes on.
No, you don't have to tell
here.
the jokes, but if you, we're planning. I've mentioned this in a few of the podcasts about our friend who has a Sunday night amateur in the Arts District. So we have to do. I don't forget if it's 7 now or 10. I think it was 10 minutes, but they lowered it to 7
I think you said.
because everyone just bombs. So you said you're going to work on it. We're going to go up there together.
Yeah, I'm going to.
All right.
I wrote a couple down. The night we had dinner, I had one in my head already, and yeah, we won't say that on camera though.
No, we won't tell the jokes, and I'm not telling anyone when we do it.
Yeah,
like
we can't.
there's-
I'll be there.
You'll be there.
He'll be
You're
there.
welcome.
He'll
Yeah.
be there.
there. I like.
No film.
I'm not funny, but I
filming
like to
going-
laugh, and I
Yeah.
like going to see comedians, and I love it. So I'm your. If there's one person there, I will be there. So book it.
I told you before I did a stand-up comedy amateur night. I remember seeing that you're performing in Terre Haute, Indiana, and I had family there, and this is probably 13 years ago. And I saw there was this amateur night. I wrote down all these jokes. I get up on stage, I forget all of them.
Oh, jeez.
And then
Wait, why were you in Terre Haute?
I had family that lived
Oh,
there.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
family,
very
yeah.
small town. So
Oh, yeah.
I remember seeing that. I was like, wow, Terre Haute.
Oh,
Such a
it's
small
a stop
place.
for all the rock.
I had no idea.
Rock shows, yeah.
And
It's the home of the Kiss Army, by the way.
I did not know that either.
No,
I didn't either.
Mm-hmm.
See, we learn something new every day.
Uh-huh.
That's
But I did
perfect.
this comedy thing, and I go up there and I tell the jokes, crickets, because I think they're offensive, because I was trying to make fun of people from Indiana.
Oh, that's the best way to win the audience over is make fun of.
When you're 25 years old, it's great.
Doesn't
you know?
Tom Segura have this bit? I think it's like on Alabama. And he's like, I love everywhere in the world except Alabama. Fuck that place. He's like, and he doubled down because he's like, he made fun of him and they said, you're not invited back. So he like basically doubled down on it. And he continues, whatever the state was. I apologize, but I forgot. I think that's funny.
Well, that's good. You can make fun of any small town like that and say that's where toothpaste was invented, because if it was anywhere else, it'd be called teeth paste. But, you know,
Oh,
that's not my joke. I'm just repeating a joke I heard. Okay.
One thing I admire about both of you guys is work ethic, where I asked you about a trick one time and I understood the concept of it, but I asked you how long did it take, and you said, oh, it's about a year and a half of practice. You just did one. You said that took you 3 months. He could play anything. I play a jukebox and he'll play anything blindfolded, but when he gets hired from a band, he's like, hey, I need a few days to like really, really are rehearsed, the perfectionist in him, and I know you as well. Talk about that, how people probably underestimate. They think if you're doing performing for them, they're like, oh, yeah, like there's a lot of, I underestimated that. So I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of where
the time that's put into
your
it.
price is put, because no one sees all the time. Like when I'm at home, that's all I'm doing. I'm working on magic because it's so important to me, and I always have to work on new things. And
okay, let me interject as a non, because I don't know how the tricks are done, but I'm always fascinated. So if you put a year into that trick, you look in the mirror and like, I don't want to know, but I need to know how the setup for a year, the repetition of, like, I know as a musician how much, listening and practicing, and just it's a bunch of things. But the whole idea though is there is something going on that there's no room for error, right? Which, because it takes a year to do whatever hand gestures, right? There's some sort of
like the sleight of hand magic is more intense. Those are the ones that take that amount of time, months to a year. And
because for a year you're working on it, and I'm watching it and I go, I have no idea, but because you worked on it for a year, so I'm not going to see it.
But you never would have guessed it took a year to perform.
No,
to
of
practice
course not.
That. It's so amazing, but you're like, oh, I don't even think I would, if someone asked me how long it would take. I'm like, I don't know. Did he practice that tonight or in a week?
You won't know.
You never know.
And go back to what you're asking about the mirror. Yes, I do use the mirror. I use my phone. I use my tablet. I watch back what I did, or I have my friends that are magicians. I go, hey, watch this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine there would be a little bounce off some other people.
You need another eye, and it's so funny. Not to like drop names, but when I performed for Dr. Dre, somebody at the
Never
table,
heard of him.
he's this famous rapper. Somebody at the table was filming it, and for 8 minutes, and I'm like, hey, can you airdrop that to me? And some of it was to get some of the footage performing for Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
But realistically, it was for me to look back
watch
on
yourself.
Yeah, and there was things I caught on there that I had no idea that I was doing that, and I was flashing things, and I'm like, okay, I need to work on that. So even to this day, this is like 2 years ago, I'm still aware of it and in my conscience to make sure I don't do that.
Do you do that with concert footage? You watch it back and say, I could fix this or something, like in a
Yeah, luckily, every show you do is on YouTube the next day.
900 versions of it, too.
I have no choice. It's there.
Yeah.
And
in today's world.
Yeah, luckily, most of your performances, you hope, are not necessarily on YouTube. I mean, but yeah, it's that's the go-to.
So when you saw that, you're like, oh, I could fix a couple of things in the that's cool, though.
Yeah, and you were talking about David Copperfield earlier, and what I heard he does after every single performance, he watches that tape afterwards to go through the whole show to see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I'm a big fan of that.
He's more obsessed with magic than anybody in this world. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, because he's done God knows how many shows.
Yeah. No,
it's important. I think the best do that. They actually are their own
That's a characteristic
critics
of successful people is their desire.
For sure.
Their desire to improve themselves, because even whether it's a golfer or anything, like watching their swing over and over, and like Tiger Woods in the prime of his game having 3 different coaches. I'm like, what does he need a coach for?
Yeah.
The simple-minded me is like, oh, he's Tiger Woods, but you forget he's got a fitness coach, a mental coach, a swing coach. He's maybe even Michael Jordan had 4 or 5 coaches from what I heard. So.
Yeah, I never let myself get complacent, and I don't let myself get an ego, because I heard the day you get an ego is the day you stop learning. Because if you're the best, how are you going to get any better? You should, like you said, you should always be improving.
That's a great
word.
quote.
Yeah,
That's
I
really good.
live by that, because you see a lot of egos, especially in the entertainment world, and I'm like, no, you can always be better. And there's so many times I perform, and I'm not happy with the performance, and I tell my wife, I'm like, oh, I'm not happy with this, and she's like, why? You did a good job. I'm like, no, but I don't think I did a good job. I know the audience loved it, but to me, I have a high standard, and if I don't get there, I'm upset, and then I don't even feel right getting the money. For performing, because
it didn't satisfy your expectation.
No, and I have high expectations because somebody's paying me. They expect something, and even though they don't know that I didn't do my best, I don't feel like I gave my best. And sometimes it's not my fault. Sometimes it's the condition. Like I perform for a group of IT people, and they're as dull as
as
so,
as IT people.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very dull, and I got 0 reactions, and I said, oh, I came over and said, oh, you guys have a noise complaint over here, and they got mad at me. And I was joking. I was just trying to get them to laugh or something, get a reaction. And
Jeff Ross used to, or Rodney Dangerfield. Did you like that joke? Well, tell your face.
Yeah.
He used to say that. It's like,
I love Rodney Dangerfield.
yeah, it's like the comedians can do that. Like, am I too fast for this crowd? This side of over here, like they make fun of the crowd if they're not laughing. But you tried that, and
that reminds me of another one. Because sometimes you don't get a reaction because people are so in awe. And when I was young, I didn't understand that. I'm like, oh, these people didn't like it, but people, they don't know how to react. And I remember there was this group of like 6 people, and I was like, oh, it's okay. I'm not that impressed with you either. And this lady looks at me and she goes, excuse me? And I was like, it's just a joke. But yeah.
Kind of like the Magic Castle when they're like, we've seen enough. You didn't know, like, oh, we get it. This guy's good.
Yeah.
You thought it was like, oh, we've seen enough. Next. Yeah. But yeah, you never know people's reaction. And that's what goes back to my question about reactions is someone's running out the door. Someone doesn't know how to react. Someone's just, that's a cool variety of.
Yeah, you can't get offended by people's reactions or lack of reactions because you just learn to deal with it.
Yeah. Question for both you guys as far as when you have to perform. Like someone has a regular job. They got to go to the Ford car plant to do whatever. Some days you don't feel like working. Does that, I know you both are very passionate and love your jobs. Are there times where you have to perform and you're just like not feeling it? Mm-hmm. And if that does happen, how do you fight through it?
You want to answer it first?
Oh, every night, every gig is Saturday night. Always remember that. It's not your Saturday night. It's everyone else's Saturday night. Even though it's Monday, you have to think that all the time. It will save you because what a gift, a privilege to go and perform in front of people. And if whatever day of the week it is or whatever event, small crowd, huge crowd, I always keep in check that the second you get on stage, it is full tilt Saturday night and it better be epic. That's it. It's easy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to answer after that.
No, but I mean, that's a good
advice
literal mic drop, from the musician. I've never asked him that question. I've known him 20 years. I've never asked him that question.
For me, sometimes when I just leaving the house, I don't have the motivation, but when I'm on my way, my adrenaline kicks in and I'm there and I have fun and I'm never going to show it like, I was dreading leaving my house. And it's not because I don't want to do magic. Sometimes I'm just tired. Yeah. Or I didn't sleep great or whatever it is. I didn't eat. I don't know, something. But I will always deliver. But I'm going to take Brent's advice.
That's good. Yeah.
Every night's a Saturday night. That's my Saturday.
I'm sure I stole it from somebody else.
Okay.
But
it's just like the ego one. The day you get an ego is the day you stop.
Exactly.
Working, so
that's cool. You got time to do some magic for us?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Or do you want to do magic? You want to pull a Blake Griffin here and do magic for us instead? I got to pull a
Blake Griffin. While you get your stuff. No, I don't know one trick. I'm just.
You know a trick.
This is. I'm going to be your shitty warm-up act. How about that?
Well, that was my job.
Where everyone sees the ace of hearts, and then I put it on top, and then I put it in the middle, and then I mix up the deck, and the ace of hearts is still on top. So
now you just stole my whole act. So sorry, that's all you guys.
But I don't know what you just did. So okay,
and the camera probably now I'm gonna rewatch it, and the camera's gonna, anyways.
All right, let's.
That's so I'm the shitty warm up act. Please go ahead.
Let's see how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna have you think of something in a minute, but I'm gonna write it down because I don't want you to like track and you can't see.
Okay.
Right.
The camera can't see it.
And I just want you to think of a 2-digit number for me.
Okay.
Say it out loud.
27.
27, is that how old you are? Is that why you picked 27? Or
it's a strong number for me.
Strong number? Oh, because if I got 26, you guys would be impressed, right?
That'd be close. That'd be close.
Out of 100 numbers, if I got 27, that'd be a little bit.
God, that just gives me chills. What?
I can't run out of here screaming because it's
Chris.
It's my.
See, I love that.
Sophia's loving this. She's in the back enjoying this.
No,
it's a book. It's 2025. I know you don't see these too often anymore, but it's a book.
Okay.
Go through the book. Make sure the words change on all the pages. They don't repeat themselves.
Okay.
Can I move? Is that okay? Like this?
You can move. Yeah.
Okay.
You're still in the picture. That's
I want to make sure I'm not messing up.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'll take the book. I'm gonna go through it. You can see okay in here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run through the book. Say stop whenever you feel like it.
Stop.
Do you want to stop here or keep going? Up to you.
We'll just we're good. We're good.
Think of the first word at the top of the page for me. I'm not looking in the
Well, I
camera.
need my
don't think-
glasses, so
oh,
can I?
You do need them.
Can I just look at it? Top left, you said?
Yep. Top first page.
Okay.
First word. You got it?
Yeah.
Close the book all the way. Think of the first letter. Oh, right. Did you see that?
No.
Right when I said that, he almost moved his lips and said "U." Was the first letter U?
Yes.
See, we'll play poker later.
Oh
after
my
this, okay?
God. You're the
Okay.
worst.
Yeah.
4 letters.
Yeah.
Ugly.
Right on.
All right, maybe though, I made you pick that page. Maybe I stopped there. So go through the book anywhere on any page. Think of a word, but make it a bigger word than ugly. Anywhere in the book,
So I'm gonna open the book now and just
anywhere you want.
Scroll
And
through
You
and
can change
just
your
pick-
mind.
Oh, in case you stop there, or he can.
People accuse
And it
me
could be
of weird
long or
things.
short.
I didn't do that, but no, make it a long word. Make it challenging.
okay. Not too long, but okay, I got
Let's
one.
go more than 6 letters.
Yeah.
Because Joe's gonna tell you. You
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah,
Close
yeah.
the book. Remember the word though, or else the trick sucks. Think of the first letter. Don't say it. Name any letter out loud.
S.
S. Didn't start with an S, did it? See how hard this is?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the first letter?
F.
That's pretty close. All right, no one's impressed. Is this a word you could
FS.
visualize?
Like it's a
Like you could see this?
it's a thing.
Yeah. Something you might see like once or twice a year. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Probably being a rocker, you might see this more often. I'm getting like July. Does that make sense to you? But that's not the word you were
getting-
thinking
it's
of,
getting
right?
warm,
But it's
yeah.
something to do with fireworks.
Yeah.
Was it firecracker?
Nailed it.
Firecracker.
Jeez. Oh. See,
So-
it was
So-
going that way, and I'm like, wait a minute, you just came.
Yeah, that's kind of like that
He
emotion.
picked,
evil.
He picked any word in that book,
This is evil.
and you guessed.
I
the
love
word.
it.
Yeah.
I
Now I
love
know you
this.
want to see a card trick.
Oh,
I-
so
I love
good.
card tricks.
They're all different. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Okay.
And
If the camera can't see it, just
you guys can verify that
they are different.
Yeah, and we'll shuffle them up. And Joe, can you cut the cards like this? Can you just give them a cut?
Cut the cards
Yep, just cut the cards.
like that
Yep. And now do that under the table.
under the table.
Under the table.
Same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
And don't look at it. I'm not going to look. Keep the cards under the table.
Okay.
You give it a cut.
Yeah.
Take the top card and set it under your leg so no one can see the card. Face
Top
down.
card face down under my leg.
And I'll take
Okay.
the rest of the cards. And do you have any idea what that card might be?
Not a clue.
What if you had to guess? What card would you think it is?
A 1 in 52 chance of guessing.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
pretty good.
I'm gonna say the 7 of spades.
7 of spades and Brent.
4 of clubs.
4 of clubs. I don't think you'd go for that low of a card. I think you'd go for like a high card, a face card, probably like the King of Hearts. So go
Sure.
ahead and- yeah, go ahead.
Can I
and bring
turn
it
it
up.
up?
Yeah,
Can I
show us.
turn it?
Show us. And that was all under the table.
What
Was it the King of Hearts?
fuck?
Just don't look
Oh,
under the table, okay? Tyus is under there telling me that. Okay.
Tyus is.
There's nobody under there.
God, that's good.
So
It's so good. I'm like,
I cut it.
I
Under
wouldn't
the
even
table
know
and didn't
how.
look and just put it under my leg,
Mhm.
and it's
I don't know how many. If that's a year, I don't know.
This
That's
one-
so.
this one is
Great.
probably one of the hardest ones I do. I can't give the reason why, but
Don't give me
there's
anything.
There's a lot
Just
of work, and I've been working on it. I probably 15 years, and the reason I say that is because I will work on it. I stop working on it. I put it away for a while, and then I get back into it. And right now, I'm in that stage where like I'm dedicated because it's so good. That's as far as I can
see.
go
And
on
now
it.
I get the reaction thing because we're just both like, we're not impressed. We're just like, what the fuck? And so
no, that's impressed. I'm impressed,
No, I'm-
and
no, I'm
it's
saying
with
we're-
a what the fuck.
We're
Yeah.
impressed and speechless is my point. So now I get when someone's speechless, you might
Mhm.
interpret it as, was that not good? And I'm just like,
No, there's no reason. There's nothing negative about this. This is
no,
awesome.
It's amazing.
It's entertaining, and
It's
makes you think like,
amazing.
well, I have no idea how you did it. And that's what I like, that there's a little bit, I might leave later going, wait a minute. But I'm not going to figure it out.
yeah. That
But
one
I'm
you
thinking
won't
about
figure
it for a long time.
Yeah, like
It
those-
lingers.
That's what I try to get to is where you will not figure it out. That's what I want. I don't want people going, oh, I think But all right, so there's a funny thing about magic. If somebody thinks they know how it's done, and even if it's not the method, in their head they figured it out, and it doesn't matter what you say. So that's kind of an interesting aspect with magic.
Say that part again.
Right,
If
so
someone,
if you think you know how that trick was done,
yeah,
you're in your head, you're convinced, even if that's not actually the method, but you figured it out yourself.
yeah,
And I can't convince you otherwise.
Okay, I see what you
And
mean.
then people
Yeah.
sometimes in the past when I wasn't as good, people would figure it out, and I would just be like, "No, that's not right." Even but what am I gonna do? But now they're actually not right, but they believe they are, and it doesn't. You're never gonna change their mind.
Is that whole adage a good magician doesn't do the same trick twice? Is that true, or in the sense of if you did something and someone, I'm sure you get this reaction, do it again. What do you
Yeah,
what do
I
you
don't
what
do
do
it
you
again.
say?
I don't do it. I just move on. I ignore them, and I don't.
Okay.
Nope. Because I'm not trying to do magic as a challenge for people to figure out. I want them to be entertained.
Okay.
It's not a game.
Make me a bicycle clown.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah, no, but that happens a lot, and I don't like that. I just want people to be entertained. My job isn't to play a game and you make it a puzzle and take it apart. I don't need that.
Okay. So you're in the
So there is something cool to the evolution of the entertainer in your world, where sometimes in our world, if you get lucky enough to have a couple songs you participated in, either wrote them yourself or with a band, and then you have an audience that comes to see you perform, they're looking for, well, I need that song. Where's my song? Okay. So if you have that little one-hit wonder body or a bunch of hit songs, what happens in your world where like you're like, but I don't do that anymore? So you have a bunch of things that evolve into you're never the magician that was 20 is and the magician that's 50 or becomes 70.
That's a great question.
Right? It's probably never going to have get stale in your world. Like,
well, in a way, you have to adapt to the times. Like
Okay.
there's old magic with silks.
yeah.
I can't pull a silk out anymore, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, that was amazing." So there's that aspect of it.
So young kids have a different take on magic as like when I grew up and I saw on TV, it would have been, example, David Copperfield making giant things go missing. That was my era of that. So I don't know if there's a 22-year-old person that comes to Vegas that's like, my magic is, they're thinking of it differently.
So
I don't know.
That I would compare to the social media magicians.
Okay.
Who are
Okay.
strictly
Yeah.
doing magic on social media. And then some of these guys, I mean, they're making millions of dollars, so I can't say anything bad about them.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you put them in front of a regular group of people doing magic, and it's not going to be anything like what you saw.
Got it.
And to me, I like being up close and personable. I don't want to be doing social media. I know you can make more money, but it's just never been my thing. I like the experience one-on-one.
Apparently TikTok is the way to go anyway. So
Yeah. I don't even have, I have TikTok, but I don't even open it. I've never seen it.
It's amazing how influencers in anything, whether it's, he comes out with a record and within 12 hours of the record coming out, there's 15 different covers of drummers playing his drum part. And it's like, it's amazing how, and some of these people are, food is the easiest one. The person who goes around to everything with food, because what's your total addressable audience? It's everybody, because everyone eats. It's not just men, women, different ages. It's everyone. So the world of influence, I didn't know that existed in magic, where people are just doing a lot of stuff, So I should have assumed, but I never thought about it.
Yeah, I'm going to build my social media presence a little bit more, but nothing like that. I have some ideas just for personal things and business.
Okay.
So I've lost gigs because I don't have enough followers on Instagram. Which
Really?
is insane. Yeah. People will not.
it's a
hire
thing.
me. Yeah.
You're judged on.
I don't care. I mean, I think I have like 1,700 followers.
Who cares?
Yeah, but your Instagram is awesome, by the way. I'm going to
thank
brag
you.
about
You're
it.
one
So,
of the, I've been lucky to be around a bunch. You're one of the best I've ever seen, but it's like, they're going to judge you on followers, which is
Yeah. Well, I don't want to work for them anyways.
right.
It's like working for someone on a discount. I don't want to do that because every single time they're the most amount of work. A funny one is the times those happen, people are like, "Oh, can you tell me what tricks you're going to be doing?" And I'll tell them who you could do them for. And I'm like, what? What?
Oh, wow.
I don't go to the doctor and say, you know what, I'm going to tell you what instruments you can use
Oh,
on me.
boy.
Like, come on. That happens though. You see some funny things.
A lot of my audience is financial, and speaking of gigs and so forth. So if anyone's watching, or if they're hiring for a holiday party or whatever, or for any corporate event, where can they find you?
My website is chrismentalist.com.
chrismentalist.
And then my Instagram is Chris Hanna Mentalist. So it's HANNA.
Yeah.
No H at the end. Everyone does that. You won't find me. But those are the two best places to reach me, and all my contact information's on either one of those.
Okay. And we'll include that below when we post this on the various socials and platforms. We'll include that as well.
Yeah.
So if anyone, just to let people know that you travel and
Thank
you know, people, if anyone, I'm not even biased saying, like, I highly would recommend anyone. Kids, say no to drugs and hire Chris. That's my message for today. Any other questions that either you have for Brent or that you had left, or
I just want to confirm. So we're going to the Magic Castle.
Yes, we're going to go to the Magic Castle.
Or we're just going to go eat at the Wynn, which we do anyway.
Yeah.
And
There's great food there. The best food.
That might be our
Best
favorite steak. We've said it many times. So
yeah.
And apparently the best magician, mentalist, illusionist.
Well, thank you.
There it is.
I try. I'll work hard at it.
It's amazing. I also like to leave the guests with sort of the last word. Any sort of lessons or things you might have learned along the way to pass any sort of, like, not necessarily inspirational, but even if it's something you wish you could have told yourself 10 years ago, to, you know, anything like that.
That's a tough one.
That's a mentalist one. I got him.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if I have an answer for that.
You don't have an answer.
Just, you know, do what you love, and if you wanted, if you have a passion you want to pursue, there's going to be struggle, and you got to hustle, and you're going to be hungry. And luckily, I've had people in my life that have helped me out a lot and given me that break. And one of the things is the book that I told Tyus is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Great book.
A great book because you learn so much, and you're great at networking and making connections and building relationships, and that's what my whole life is based on. So I think those are like the important factors in anything you do in life.
You know that 6 degrees of separation. I always say he's 2 degrees of separation from anyone in music, not just rock. And I think this is a great thing all of us can pass along to the audience, is the power of networking. Because
there's nothing stronger. That's what I do.
Because you not only perform, but you make sure to, to connect, and he does the same. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No. 100%.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Are you going to do a card trick for us?
That was my trick.
You know more.
The ace of hearts is still up top.
All right.
I'm going to give you props, Joe. You always impress when I'm.
Well, he's been kind enough to teach me a few things, and after that, I did the Mickey Mouse opening act for you.
And those were just a few things I do. As you.
I know.
So
You're
just a little.
That's
appetizer.
a little.
What you just did though was amazing,
Oh,
Chris.
thank you.
I love that stuff. It's just makes me like I'm thinking about it now, and I'm gonna leave here going,
perfect.
what the hell just
what's
happened?
cool is the passion. Again, I know we're trying to close this, but like when you in his house, it's like Costco. It's like a warehouse of magic. So it's like he's like a little kid. Oh, I got to show you this with the Rubik's Cube and this with the coins, and then he opens up a closet and there's 900 decks of cards. Like that's the same. Like you have 4 warehouses of instruments. Like if you're passionate about it, that speaks a lot to both you guys. Like you're always fine-tuning your craft and always looking to improve, and I think that's
100%.
That's a great takeaway as well. Thanks again for doing this, my friend.
Me.
Thanks, Chris.
Hopefully we can do it again.
I was
soon.
inspired. It was great. I appreciate that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you guys.